Have you ever wondered if there is one thing you can do in your studio to increase sales and make clients happier? I have the solution here for you today. Welcome to the Focal Points podcast. Welcome to Focal Points, an end photo podcast hosted by Dorie Howell. This is the place to be to learn how to build a photography business that you love. I truly believe that it is our job and our absolute duty to provide our clients with physical products from their sessions, whether that be wall art, albums, prints, trifolds, whatever you choose to sell them. A photographer's job is not done until they have offered physical products to their clients. Yes, we live in a digital age, and yes, people want digital files. I totally understand that conversation, and we're going to discuss that in future episodes of the podcast. But for today, I really want us to discuss how you can increase your bottom line pretty easily by offering one thing to your clients, and that is albums. Now, we've talked about this before when I did the podcast that talked about adding products an easy way. It was a step-by-step process of how to add products. This is kind of, episode 2 of that. It goes a little bit more in depth. And this really highlights some of the things that I do that my clients love and guarantees an album sale to almost every single client. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that one. We'll paste the link on the show notes page at focalpointspodcast.com. But for today, here are 10 clear things that you can do to sell more albums to your clients. Now, here's the thing. These steps you can add for wall art, you can add for prints, you can add for any type of product that you want to sell. But I love albums, so let's go ahead and talk about those things today. So let's get straight to it. What are some of the steps that you can take that will greatly increase your chances of selling an album to every client? I kind of listened to that in your voice, and I'm glad that you asked. What are these things? The number one thing you need to do, in fact, this is something that you must do, and it honestly has nothing to do with your clients. You need to believe in your heart of hearts, in your mind, that every client needs an album. They don't want an album, they need an album. You need to believe this in your soul. You need to believe that the experience that they have with your studio will simply not be complete unless they purchase an album. If you think that they don't want or need an album, you're going to be right. And what's going to happen is that they won't purchase one. So you have a little bit of control over this and how you put out that energy. See, clients want to know when we're being genuine with what we offer. If we really love it, or if we're just offering it because we think we have to, or if we just want to make more money off of them, they can feel and see the difference in what you're offering. So the first, very number one thing that you need to do is change your mindset to believe that clients will not have a great experience with you unless they purchase an album. And then once we get that mindset straight, we need to be excited about it. Number 2 is we need to be excited about what we're offering in this album. Believing that they need it is one thing, but then we need to take it one step further and be openly excited about the album choices we offer. I offer the End Photo Complete set. I love this album. I think it's beautiful. I love that it's all one presentation with the digital files and the box and the album with the beautiful acrylic color available in many different styles. And if you go to the show notes page of focalpointspodcast.com, you can get a 75% discount off of a sample. Can't beat it. Anyway, you need to be excited about it. When you're excited about it, that colors how you talk about it, the words that you use. They can see you light up when you discuss this offering, and it's something that you cannot duplicate, and it can't be fake. All right? The third thing you need to do is you need to talk about the albums. You need to talk about not just the features of the acrylic cover and the beautiful leatherette and the inside matching suede and all the other things that come with it. It's not about the features. Features aren't going to sell an album. The benefits of the album are going to sell it. And I'm going to get into that in a couple more steps. But you need to talk about the albums, how beautiful they are, how much they're going to love them, how great they're going to be looking sitting in their home, how they can be custom designed, all those different things. The fourth thing you need to do is you need to show them. You need to have samples. Now, here's the thing. If you're new to photography, let's face it, samples are expensive. I totally get it. And getting samples for your studio is kind of a never-ending process. And there's some of us who are a little bit of, sample hoarders that we like to have samples in multiple different colors and all that type of thing. But if you don't have samples, I'm going to strongly, strongly encourage you in the next couple sessions that you have, set aside some of those funds so you can get the samples that you need. There is something about opening up the album box and hearing like the crack of the paper when they open the album. And then there's even a smell. And I know this sounds really, really weird. And people who know me know that I've talked about this before, but there's a certain smell, and incorporating all those senses, the sight, the touch, the sound, the smell, all of these things, that helps draw clients in to say, maybe that's something I really, really do want. So when you talk about them and you show them, that is going to help solidify what they want. So here's the thing. I do those first 4 things with almost every client. And does every client buy an album? No, but that is my goal. And I have things set up. That's kind of how my family portrait sessions work, that they get an album, they get some digitals, and everybody's happy because I've satisfied all those different things. But here's the one thing that I've learned is that most people do not come to the end of their session thinking that they need an album, or they don't hire you thinking that they need an album. Now, weddings are totally different. I'm talking about standalone portrait sessions, family sessions, newborn sessions, child sessions, first year sessions, senior sessions, all those different things. For weddings, most of the time people want an album. It's kind of assumed that they're going to get an album. But for portrait sessions, it's a little bit different. And I used to be of the mind that said, I don't know if I really want an album of one full session. So you need to plan your sessions well. And that's the next thing, is that you need to plan your sessions with the album in mind. You need to tell the story. That means you need to have a lot of different setups, maybe an outfit change or two, where they put on a jacket, they put on a hat, they just modify their look a certain way, different posing, different combinations of people, and different locations if possible. So if you're at a park, make sure you hit the bridge and the greenery and the tall grass and maybe the lake. So you have all those different variations in your album. And then you need to tell their story. It's about the family's love for each other. It's about how cute and silly the kids are and how mom and dad love each other and all those different emotions that come out. You need to shoot to tell that story. So if you are able to tell the story and also get a wide variety of looks, you have done a great job shooting for an album, and there's a really good possibility that they're actually going to purchase it. So when you shoot for an album, the next thing you need to do is you need to pre-sell that album. And a lot of times what I will do is I will offer my clients a discount if they pre-purchase something before the session date. They don't necessarily have to do it at consult, but if they decide that they're going to want an album or some wall art or some prints or something, I will offer them a discount if they put down their money before the session date. And it has to be paid in full. I'm not taking a discount like 50% down for this. It's 100% down with maybe either like a 10% discount, or say they buy wall art, then they might get a 100% discount on their album. You can configure this many different ways, but try and get the money for the album before the session itself, because that guarantees that you need to shoot for an album. A lot of times what I find, and this is covered in the consultation, is that people don't ask enough questions of what people want to do with images. And so what we do is we go into a session, we just kind of shoot as much as we think. And then all of a sudden after the session, we have to kind of put together a plan of how all these images can be used by the family. And many times, especially if you haven't been doing this for a while, I'm going to say that you shoot a lot of images and you spend a lot of time on images that are never going to be used anywhere because they weren't planned properly. So you need to know from your clients ahead of time as much as possible what they're going to do with the images, or where those images are going to live once they become real, I'll say. So steps 1 through 6, you need to believe that your clients need an album. Number 2, you need to be excited about it. 3, you need to talk about those albums. And in an enthusiastic way. 5, you need to pre-sell those albums, you need to show those albums, and you need to shoot for an album and tell the story. But now we have a word from InPhoto about how you can get 75% off a studio sample today. Creating a beautiful product line to show to our clients and present to our clients sometimes can be really difficult because the options seem endless. One thing that my clients love and what I offer everyone is the Complete Set by InPhoto. It's a 3-in-1 combo product that allows me to give them a beautiful presentation box, a USB, and also a book or an album of all their images from their event or their session. And it's something that is a hit every single time. If you're looking for samples for your studio, absolutely take advantage of the 75% discount that InPhoto offers all new clients. Head over to our show notes page and grab that sample discount today. All right, so in this digital world, a lot of people ask me, especially my coaching clients, they ask me and they say, Dorie, I'm doing all of this on the phone or on Zoom or over the internet. I'm not having an in-person consultation. And a lot of people haven't gone back to in-person consultations. I haven't. I know that I probably won't. It's working fine without them. But I take my samples to the session. I have shown samples out of the back of my car in a parking lot before. I believe this is really important that you show your samples to them before they come or put in a position to order their products. Because like I said earlier, most people aren't coming thinking that they want an album. But if you've done all the steps that we talked about earlier, then they start to visualize themselves in the album. If you're shooting for the story and you have the kids running in the field or mom and dad hugging in the background and that type of thing, you can say things like, oh, this is going to look so beautiful in a spread on the album. I can't wait to put this in an album. Start saying those types of things because you believe it, not because you're trying to make a sale, but because you can visualize that in your brain and start to be able to communicate that to your clients. So another part of that is showing your samples. You need to be able to show your samples. So that's everything that I kind of do before the selection appointment, during the consultation, during the session itself, after the session. Those are some steps that I do. Now we get to the selection appointment. How can you solidify that they actually want and need one? Well, show them a sample of a mock-up album digitally. You can do this in a lot of different softwares, and Fundy's great for this. You can do a mock-up really, really quick in Fundy. And I have a discount for them too. Head to the show notes page at focalpointspodcast.com. And I can design an album in less than 10 minutes. It's super, super quick, but I need to show the mock-up because they need to visualize themselves on those pages. The second thing comes to, they've ordered an album. Woohoo! You're so excited about this and they're so excited they want to get it. I see a lot of photographers want to know how you send them, the clients, a proof of the album after you've designed it. Now, this is a little bit controversial and not everyone is comfortable doing this, but I don't send a proof. I know some of you are shaking your head saying, Dorie, what do you mean you don't send a proof? They don't sign off on the album? Nope. What happens during the selection appointment is I go in and we discuss all the images. And to make it really quick, from just an ease of decision-making process, because too many decisions make our minds confused and tell us to say no. And if we put our too many decisions in front of our clients, they start to get confused and frustrated and all of that. I make it really easy. I say, okay, great. We want to get an album, right? We want to tell this story. They say yes. Let's go through really quickly and let's see what images you do not want in your album. And if it's a family session and I have shown 40, 45 images, we might take out 3 or 4. But it's really easy to go through and pull those out versus actually sitting and designing it with them. Because like I said, I use Fundy to do that. So what happens is we go through, we take out the images that they don't want in the album. We talk about color, we talk about cover, we talk about any embossing or etching for the cover. And I just basically say, these are going to look so beautiful. Do you trust my artistic experience that I can design this album for you? And that a month from today, you're going to have it perfectly designed in your hands according to my artistic interpretation of how this story should be told. And let me tell you, every single client has said yes. I've never, ever sent out an album proof. They sign off on it and we're good to go. I don't have to worry about it. So make the design process easy for them and for you. It saves you so much time and frustration and emails back and forth. And then you get into the process of, well, they want these revisions. How much do I charge for these revisions? I don't have to deal with any of that. I ask them if they trust me. By this point in time, they do. They sign off on it and they get an album. I've had one client come back and say, just had a question of why you did this a certain way. And so we get on the phone, we have the conversation. And once they understood it, they were like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. I love it. So it's not a problem at all. So those are the 9 things that you can do. And the next thing comes to pricing, and use an album as an incentive for purchase. So include it in an attractive package. You can include digital files with it if you want. Put it together in a package that makes sense. Make sure you're meeting your cost of doing business and all your numbers and everything, and you're making a profit on this, but include it in a package that is desirable to the client. For me, if they get an album, they also get the digital files, they get the USB, they get the download, they get the app, and they get the box that goes with it. It's all big package. And if they want an album, they can purchase an album separately, but they can't purchase the digital files without the album. And it hasn't been a problem. So those are 10 things that you can do to sell an album. Now here's 5 bonus ideas. You can offer companion albums. Say you design a 10 by 10 album. You can design smaller companion albums and get those albums for grandmas and grandpas, and you could offer those in a package. Number 2, you want to focus on the future of how your client is going to use this album, not just now, but for next generation. So I always say something like this in the sales process. Say, oh, I love these albums so much. And you know what? My daughter does too. She's 15 years old and she sits down and she looks through our vacation photos in these albums and our wedding photos and different family sessions. And I know when she graduates from high school, these are the albums that I'm going to have out on the table. And when she gets engaged, she's going to show these albums to her fiance and her new in-laws. And at her wedding, maybe we'll have a photo display. We'll be sharing these albums. These are not just for today. This is a way that people can share their lives now, their legacy with future generations. These are the albums that are going to be printed and that my daughter is going to share with her grandchildren. And when you put that in the whole context, I think it becomes more valuable and it becomes more concrete that people really want to be able to share their story for future generations. It's not just having a pretty coffee table book to put, on the coffee table or on the bookshelf. It's something that provides real value and meaning. The next thing that you want to do, the third bonus idea, is you want to prep your clients for this. And that goes back to numbers 3 and 4 that we talked about earlier. You want to talk about your albums. You want to show your albums, but letting people know that this is what you sell. This is what you're known for. How do you do that? You show them in social media. You show them on your website. You show them in different printed materials. You let people know this is what you do. So when clients come and knock on your door and they inquire, they know that you are known for albums. That's super important. So the fourth bonus idea is highlight having an album in addition to digital files. So like I said earlier, my clients can't buy digital files by themselves. They can buy an album by themselves, but they don't get the digital files by themselves. If they want digital files, they're going to have an album. So making that package work, that's something that's worked really well for my studio. And like I said, you need to make this really easy for them, not just in the design process and the sales process. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but especially for newborn sessions, what I have found is that a lot of people looking for digital files, they don't know what they want to do with those files. They just know that their baby was just born and they need to have these pictures taken now, but they haven't taken that thought process any further. And that's something that you as the professional can do. But instead of putting it on their shoulders saying, oh yeah, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to, you're going to need to get your pictures developed. It's not a film, but like printed and all those different things. You are coming to the table as an expert, and you are coming to the table as someone who can do it for them and provide a service for them. So it crosses something off their list, because especially with new moms, and you're speaking to a mom or you're listening to a mom right now who has a 15-year-old who doesn't have her baby album printed yet. It's designed. I need to send it off to Enphoto to get printed. But it's just something that's been on my list for 15 years. And this is what happens. Life happens. They have this baby, they're tired, they're exhausted, then the baby starts growing and life just gets away from you. And all of a sudden their kid's 15 years old and they don't have a baby album yet. Take that off their shoulders. Take that burden off their shoulders, because these are the type of things that weigh on moms. Dads, probably not so much, but this is something that every client that I've talked to when I was doing newborn photography, this was something, especially if it was their second or third child, they understood what it meant to have things on the list that just didn't seem like they were ever going to get done, but that didn't mean that they weren't important. So sell it in a way to say, hey, I got you. We will take care of this. Let's do this now. Spend 15 minutes now designing the album, approving the images that go in the album. And I promise you're going to have it and you're never going to have to think about it again. And you're not going to have it hanging over your shoulder. So those are 10 ways that you can increase your album sales, plus 5 bonus ideas. And I highly recommend that you go ahead and you head over to the show notes page at focalpointspodcast.com. And that will let you get a download so you have all these printed out, because if you're running or you're working or doing other things, I'm sure you haven't had time to take notes. So get the download that goes with this. Get the discount for your sample album with Enphoto. Get the discount off of Fundy. And create beautiful, beautiful albums for your clients, because I know that they are going to love them. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening to the Focal Points podcast. Thank you to Enphoto for sponsoring this podcast. And we will see you all next time. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to head over to the show notes page at blog.enphoto.com/podcast. That's blog.enphoto.com/podcast. Get the download for this program and link to a wonderful, wonderful 75% off special for your first sample order from Enphoto. You don't want to miss it.